Greetings, my fellow film lovers, sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Friday, February 10th, 2017. Yeah, it became a nice, beautiful day in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I am podcasting at CJ's Java Lounge, the Yacht Club, located at 400 Southwest First Avenue, Suite 1 in Fort Lauderdale, right along the New River, and plus the Andrews Avenue Bridge, which is, the southwest section of that bridge. So come on by, check it out. They usually open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. However, they do have a little extension for their little DJ. It's going to happen every Friday night with DJ Louie. Play some music, so entertainment, good little vibe. And people are actually coming in, which is good. Nice little facility. And if you can't stand the big corporate chains, hit your mom pause. This was a place, a good example. Support local shops, all right? Help the economy, support local business. Well, it's interesting when you still have the Trump bashers out there and going, no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. And we hear all these bonehead, bend over bobbing corporate musicians, okay? And I don't have to really say their names, but the ones that are making all these big stinks over it, their music is weak, pathetic, commercialized, and they're bend over bobs and Barbies. And what's funny about it, they all went up in arms, everyone else, including their her-conformed fans. Talk about Nazism with Trump. And you talk to a man that is not a big supporter, look at his pros and cons like everybody else. Well, talk about Nazis. There's a great article that was written by John Whitehead, and many people are sharing it, including newsbuzz.com, which is a great site. Please, folks, support these independent media groups or independent journalists and so forth. And a lot of us have been talking about this for a good period of time, even before I've done podcasting on the war on terror and so forth. So this can be really related. It's one entitled The FBI, The Silent Terror of the Fourth Reich, written by John W. Whitehead. It says here, can the Fourth Reich happen here? It's already happening right under our noses. After 5 years of Hitler's dictatorship, the Nazi police had won the FBI's seal of approval. Historian Robert Galately. Adolf Hitler's alive and well in the United States, and he is fast rising to power. Paul Craig Roberts, former Assistant Secretary of the Treasurer, on the danger posed by the FBI to our civil liberties. Lately, there's been a lot of rhetoric comparing Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. The concern is that a Nazi-type regime may be rising in America. That process, however, began a long time ago. In fact, following the Second World War, the U.S. government recruited Hitler's employees, adopted his protocols, embraced his mindset about law and order, implemented his tactics in incremental steps, and began to lay the foundations for the rise of the Fourth Reich. Sounds far-fetched? Read on. It's all documented. As the historian Robert Galately recounts, the Nazi police state was initially so admired for its efficiency and ordered by the world powers. On that day, J. Edgar Hoover, then head of the FBI, actually sent one of his right-hand men, Edmund Patrick Coffey, to Berlin in January 1938 at the invitation of Germany's secret police, the Gestapo. Ho, 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 ho. That's right. Okay, all those dinkleberries in the corporate music scene. Explain that to me. The FBI was so impressed with the Nazi regime that, according to the New York Times, in the decades after World War II, the FBI, along with other government agents, aggressively recruited at least 1,000 Nazis, including some of Hitler's highest henchmen. All told, thousands of Nazi collaborators, including the head of a Nazi concentration camp among others, were given secret visas and brought to America by, by the way of Project Paperclip. Subsequently, they were hired on as spies and informants and then camouflaged to ensure their true identity and ties to Hitler's Holocaust machine would remain unknown. All the while, thousands of Jewish refugees were refused entry visas to the U.S. on the grounds that it could threaten national security. Adding further insult to injury, American taxpayers have been paying to keep these Nazis on the U.S. government's payroll. Ever since, and in true Gestapo fashion, anyone who has dared to blow the whistle on the FBI's illicit Nazi ties has found himself spied on, intimidated, harassed, and labeled a threat to national security. That's right, your man, J. Edgar Hoover, was responsible for this. And I will continue on. As if the government's covert taxpayer-funded employment of Nazis after World War II wasn't bad enough, U.S. government agencies, the FBI, CIA, and the military have fully embraced many of the Nazis' well-honed policing tactics and have used them repeatedly against American citizens. Indeed, with every passing day, the United States government borrows yet another leaf from the Nazi Germany's playbook, secret police. And there's a lot of links on here too, so you can check it out and examine this yourselves, okay? Secret courts, secret government agencies, surveillance, censorship, intimidation, harassment, torture, brutality, widespread corruption, entrapment, indoctrination, indefinite detention, FEMA camps. Add that to your memo. These are not tactics used by constitutional republics, where the rule of law and the rights of citizenry reign supreme. Rather, they are hallmarks of authoritarian regimes, where the only law that counts comes in the form of heavy-handed unilateral dictates from a supreme ruler who uses a secret police to control the populace. That danger is now posed by the FBI, whose laundry list of crimes against the American people includes surveillance, disinformation, blackmail, entrapment, intimidation tactics, harassment and indoctrination, governmental overreach, abuse, misconduct, trespassing, enabling criminal activity, and damaging private property. And that's just based on what we know. Rather, the FBI is planning undercover agents in churches, synagogues, and mosques, issuing fake emergency letters to gain access to Americans' phone records, using intimidation tactics to silence Americans who are critical of the government, recruiting high school students to spy on and report fellow students who show signs of being a future terrorist, or persuading impressionable individuals to plot acts of terror, and then entrapping them. The overall impression of the nation's secret police is that of a well-dressed thug flexing his muscle and doing the boss's dirty work, ensuring compliance, keeping tabs on potential descendants, and punishing those who dare to challenge the status quo. So if any of you folks are in that department, you're just nothing more than nefarious Uncle Toms and Aunt Jemimas, and you spread your butt cheeks for tyranny, and it will backfire on you when least expected. And don't come crying to us, go, what have I done wrong? I will continue. Whatever minimal restrictions initially kept the FBI surveillance activities within the bounds of the law, but all but disappeared post 9/11. Since then, the FBI has been transformed into a mammoth federal policing and surveillance agency that largely operates as a power unto itself, beyond the reach of established laws, court rulings, and legislative mandates. Considering the FBI's far-reaching powers to surveil, detain, interrogate, investigate, prosecute, punish, police, and generally act as a law unto themselves, much like their Nazi cousins, the Gestapos, and then try to convince yourself that the United States is still a constitutional republic. Just like the Gestapo, the FBI has vast resources, vast investigatory powers, and vast discretion to determine who is an enemy of the state. Today, the FBI employs more than 35,000 individuals and operates more than 56 field offices in major cities across the U.S., as well as 400 resident agencies in smaller towns and more than 50 international offices. In addition to their data campus, which houses more than 96 million sets of fingerprints across the United States and elsewhere, the FBI has also built a vast repertoire of profile of tens of thousands of Americans and legal residents who are not accused of any crime. What they have done is appear to be acting suspiciously to a town sheriff, a traffic cop, or even a neighbor. The FBI's burgeoning databases on Americans are not only being used and used by local police agencies, but are also being made available to employers for real-time background checks. All this made possible by the agency's nearly unlimited resources. Its minimum budget alone in the fiscal year was $8.3 billion. The government's vast arsenal of technology, the incorrectness of government intelligence agencies, and information sharing through fusion centers, data collecting intelligence agencies spread throughout the country that constantly monitor communications, including those of American citizens. Everything from internet activity and web searches, text messages, phone calls, and emails. Much like the Gestapo spied on mail and phone calls, which it's been proven has been done to your man, J. Edgar Hoover. What does J stand for? Jackass or jerk off, right? Much like the FBI agents have carte blanche access to the citizenry's most personal information. Working through the post office, the FBI has access to every piece of mail that passes through the postal system. More than 160 billion pieces are scanned and recorded annually. Moreover, the agency's national security letters, one of the many illicit powers authorized by the USA Patriot Act, allows the FBI to secretly demand that banks, phone companies, and other businesses provide them with customer information and not disclose those demands to the customer. An internal audit of the agency found that the FBI practice of issuing tens of thousands of NSLs every year for sensitive information such as phone and financial records, often in non-emergency cases, is riddled with widespread constitutional violations. And that's right, my friends. It's the Patriot Act. 9/11, the 24-hour excuse for everything. So if you still believe they attacked because of our freedoms, punch yourselves in the mouth. And I say that with love. I will proceed here. Much like the Gestapo's sophisticated surveillance programs, the FBI's spying capability can delve into Americans' most intimate details and allow local police to do so as well. In addition to technology, which is shared with police and agencies, that allows them to listen in on phone calls, read emails and text messages, and monitor web activities. The FBI's surveillance boasts an invasive collection of spy tools ranging from stingray devices that can track the location of cell phones to triggerfish devices, which allow agents to eavesdrop on phone calls. Calm down. My dog is like, want to play here. In one case, the FBI actually managed to remotely reprogram a suspect's wireless internet card for that to send real-time cell site location data to Verizon, which forwarded to the data to the FBI. Law enforcement agencies are also using social media tracking software to monitor Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram posts. Moreover, secret FBI rules allow agents to spy on journalists without significant judicial oversight. Ain't that sweet? Big Brother, 1984, and everyone's still going. The American flag goes, I am free and safe. I will give up my liberty for security because I am a patriot. Wipe my butt and flush it down the toilet with that rhetoric. Much like the Gestapo's ability to profile based on race and religion and its assumptions of guilt by association. Could we say witch hunting fetish? Absolutely. The FBI's approach to pre-crime allows it to profile Americans based on a broad range of characteristics, including race and religion. The agency's biometric database has grown to massive proportions, the largest in the world, encompassing everything from fingerprint, palm, and face and iris scan to DNA, and is being increasingly shared between federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. In an effort to target potential criminals long before they ever commit a crime. Kind of, sort of, right? Thought criminals. This is what's known as pre-crime. 1984. Yet it is not your actions that will get you in trouble in many cases. It's also who you know, even minimally, and where your sympathies lie that could land you on a government watch list. Moreover, as the Intercept reports, despite anti-profiling prohibitions, the Bureau claims considerable latitude to use race, ethnicity, nationality, and religion in deciding which people and communities to investigate. Same old song and dance, my friends. Doesn't matter who you are. God bless the war on terror, right? Please. Much like the Gestapo's power to render anyone an enemy of the state, the FBI has the power to label anyone a domestic terrorist. That's right. Judge, jury, executioner. Judge Dredd 101. As part of government's so-called ongoing war on terror, the nation's de facto secret police force has begun using the terms anti-government, extremist, and terrorist interchangeably. Mind Control 101. You watch the Idiot Box, you understand, whether it's CNN, Fox News, or all the garbage in between. Moreover, the government continues to add its growing list of characteristics that can be used to identify an individual, especially anyone who disagrees with the government, as a potential domestic terrorist. For instance, you might be a domestic terrorist in the eyes of the FBI and its network of snitches if you express libertarian philosophies, statements, bumper stickers, exhibit Second Amendment oriented views, an array or gun club membership, read survivalist literature, including apocalyptic fictional books, show signs of self-sufficiency, stockpiling food, ammo, hand tools, medical supplies, fear an economic collapse, buy gold or barter items, subscribe to religious views concerning the Book of Revelation, voice fears about Big Brother or Big Government, expound about constitutional rights and civil liberties, believe in a New World Order conspiracy. Wow. So they probably listen to my show and go, that Loki Luck III is not more than a domestic terrorist. He's a free-thinking person that does not bend over to the New World Order. That's right. And I am very damn proud of it. Absolutely. That's how you gotta look at the world, my friends. Doesn't matter what you look like, what your gender is, etc. If you're a free thinker, they say you're the bad guy. Much like the Gestapo infiltrate communities in order to spy on the German citizenry, the FBI routinely infiltrates political and religious groups as well as businesses. As Courier writes for the Intercept, using loopholes it has kept secrets for years. The FBI can, in certain circumstances, bypass its own rules in order to send undercover agents or informants into political and religious organizations, as well as schools, clubs, and businesses. The FBI has even been paying Geek Squad technicians at Best Buy to spy on customers' computers without a warrant. How astute! How sweet it is. So, if you're gonna buy something from Best Buy, try to pay cash. If you have a credit card, use a mailbox address, and they can stick it. You know what I'm saying? They should, I guess next time go to Geek Squad, you give them an I Love Mao Sung button too while you're at it. Just as the Gestapo united and militarized Germany's police force into a national police force, America's police forces have largely been federalized and turned into a national police force. In addition to government programs that provides the nation's police forces with military equipment and training, the FBI also operates a national academy that trains thousands of police chiefs every year and indoctrinates them into an agency mindset that advocates the use of surveillance technology and information sharing between local, state, federal, and international agencies. The Interpol. Yeah, man. That's why if you see a sheriff, like good example, Scott Israel, who's a sheriff of Broward County, is a member of Homeland Security. How is that 10th Amendment friendly? Absolutely not. He's just an example, my friends. So do your homework on that, okay? Just as the Gestapo's secret files on political leaders were used to intimidate and coerce, the FBI files on anyone suspected of anti-government sentiment have been similarly abused. As countless documents make clear, the FBI has no qualms about using its extensive powers in order to blackmail politicians, spies, celebrities, and high-ranking government officials and intimidate and attempt to discredit dissidents of all stripes. For example, not only the FBI followed Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and bugged his phone in hotel rooms, but agents also sent him anonymous letters urging him to commit suicide and pressured a Massachusetts college into dropping King as his commencement speaker. You see that? Yeah, so you got a bunch of yes people out there go, okay, boss, may have another. So people like that, I just feel sorry for them. Just as the Gestapo carried out entrapment operations, the FBI has become a master in the art of entrapment. In the wake of 9/11 terrorist attacks, the FBI has not only targeted vulnerable individuals, but has also lured or blackmailed them into fake terror plots while actually equipping them with the organization, money, weapons, and motivation to carry out the plots, entrapment, and then jailing or deporting them for their so-called terrorist plotting. This is what the FBI characterizes as forward-leaning preventive prosecutions. In addition to creating certain crimes in order to then solve them, the FBI also given certain informants permission to break the law, including everything from buying and selling legal drugs to bribing government officials and plotting robberies in exchange for the cooperation on other fronts. USA Today estimates that agents have authorized criminals to engage in as many as 15 crimes a day. Some of these informants are getting paid astronomical sums. One particularly unsavory fellow, later arrested for attempting to run over a police officer, was actually paid $85,000 for his help laying the trap for the entrapment scheme. These folks nice or what? When and if a true story of the FBI is ever written, it will not only track the rise of the American police state, but will also chart the decline of freedom in America. In much of the same way that the empowerment of Germany's secret police tracked with the rise of the Nazi regime. How did the Gestapo become the terror of the Third Reich? It did so by creating a sophisticated surveillance and law enforcement system that relied for its success on the cooperation of the military, the police, the intelligence community, neighborhood watchdogs, government workers for the post office and railroads, ordinary civil servants, and a nation of snitches inclined to report rumors, defiant behavior, or even just loose talk. More cowards, more bend-over Bobs and Barbies to the state. I'll tell you folks one thing. Whatever you do, if you're listening to this show, you're wasting your own energy by writing and reporting to me, because you know what? They don't give a damn about you. Okay? You're just nothing more than numbers or pieces of garbage to them. In other words, ordinary citizens working with government agents helped create the monster that became Nazi Germany. Writing for the New York Times, Barry Irwin paints a particular chilling portrait of how an entire nation becomes complicit of its own downfall by looking the other way. And what may be his most provocative statement, author Eric A. Johnson says that most Germans may not even have realized until very late in the war, if ever, that they were living in a vile dictatorship. This is not just to say that they were unaware of the Holocaust. Johnson demonstrates that millions of Germans must have known at least some of the truth. But he concludes a tactic Faustian bargain was struck between the regime and the citizenry. Sit down. The government looked the other way when petty crimes were being committed. Ordinary Germans looked the other way when Jews were being rounded up and murdered. They abetted one of the greatest crimes of the 20th century, not through active collaboration, but through passivity, denial, and indifference. Same old patterns when it comes to death by government. Much like the German people, we the people have become passive, polarized, gullible, easily manipulated, and lacking in critical thinking skills, distracted by entertainment spectacles, politics, and screen devices. We too are complicit, silent partners in creating a police state similar to the terror practiced by former regimes. Can the Fourth Reich happen here? My friends, we've been living in a dangerous world since the beginning of time. Genocide and democide has been happening through millenniums, centuries. And as people look the other way, go, as long as it doesn't affect me. When it does, they all have a cow, go, how come I didn't do anything beforehand? Vigilance is always every human being's obligation, whether you're in the United States, Canada, Mexico, and beyond. Government in Latin means control of the mind. They are responsible for slaughtering 170 million people. Government's gone bad. 170 million people, and genocide is like 270 million, or maybe in that range from democide. If you still believe if you don't trust the government, you don't like your country, you're just a bunch of damn idiots, fools, naive, obtuse. It's not here to pick on you, but let you folks know one thing: you have the right to know. The past is today's greatest teacher. The stuff going on right now, I've been watching going on in a lot of areas in Africa where they're having civil strife. People being slaughtered. Same thing happened in Australia. Same things happen in South Africa. Doesn't matter what you look like. A lot of folks are being attacked, raped, and pillaged because they look different, they have a different political view, religious views, etc. They all want us to be mind controlled with distractions and watching our pathetic sporting events and think that's our church, that's our gods, those are our heroes. That's one thing for sure, my friends. Never, ever too late. What's been happening right now, especially with the information war, things are progressing slowly. Remember, these bastards, these vultures, the corrupt, is doing this by stealth and baby steps. The war on terror is a conflagration with its own people. And we can stop it or create a big amount of dents with the information war. You got the tools on your lap, utilize them. Don't like saying with social media, I don't need to put my personal life on there. It's none of their damn business. I like to throw things at them, get people to think. It's our obligations, my friends. Stick together. Toss our differences aside and stand for a common cause. Resisting tyranny of all kinds. So if all you folks out there still believe Donald Trump's a Nazi and you haven't protested anything else, you've just been duped, suckered, punked, swindled. Personal entrapment. You're personally entrapped. That's probably enough to say. I'm going to add a couple more links here about the rise of the Fourth Reich in America. And Jim Mars is from ProjectCamelot.org. Jim Mars, he's a veteran researcher and speaker, and always connected with the agenda of the New World Order. I followed him for a good 17 years, and the man has a lot of merit. And he did an interview. There's links on here, downloads and video streams. There's a transcript, even in Korean. I'm going to add that to the memo, and I'm going to recommend people read The Rise of the Fourth Reich. That's threatening to take over America. You hit the bookstores. Well, I got a PDF archive site. I'm going to add those footnotes there as well. So that's really going to be addressing here because, like I said, a lot of stuff is happening. Like I tell my friends, don't get caught in one big hoopla. Don't get distracted. Keep everything in the balance. Still enjoy life. You got to remain vigilant. Be strong. And don't let these demoniacs tell you how to live, especially for your children's sake. And your enemies as well. The ones that have petty views. Alright? Well, that is all for now, my friends. I thank everyone for listening to this episode. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that's interesting that I may want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondences with decorum. You can keep me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, Minds.com. Furthermore, you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is LokiLuck3 at gmail.com. All right. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.